Hello and welcome everyone. We have some new viewers joining us for the first time, so a very special welcome to you. And please let us know where you're calling from because we love to know where you are in the world. This is the third in the series of Paris Fan Club broadcasts for 2024, where we explore all things French. Now, if you've heard about or watched the UK series called Escape to the Chateau with the Strawbridge family, Dick and Angel, you're going to really enjoy today's program, which is called Escape to Our Chateau. That is not their chateau, the Chateau, with my guests and co-hosts, Sara and Stephen. Now, Sara and Stephen join us from a small village in southwest France where they own and live in a French chateau, a real French chateau called Le Chateau Saint-Germain-des-Prés. It's a recent and exciting development in their lives. So let's bring them in to say hello. Hello, Sara and Stephen.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, mes amis.
Bonjour. Now, before we get into where you are, the whole chateau thing, where are you actually in the chateau right now?
We are in the dining room.
Looks beautiful.
Yes, in front of one of the 13 fireplaces.
That's right. 13 fireplaces in the chateau, not in the dining room.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're going to have a tour of the chateau too, which is really going to be great. Okay, so before we get going though, let's also say hello to Mark, who is producing this segment along with our team in Vancouver. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Diana. Always a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to today's program for sure.
Have you got a chateau you haven't told us about or told me about in France somewhere?
No, I wish I did, but I will say I'm always fascinated with the ancient and the historical architecture of especially Europe and different parts of the world. And I saw a program I was telling you about the other day of a 1,000-year-old chateau and castle in France. And I see this and I'm really excited to learn more and hear all about it. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
this
it's
one has a lot of
exciting.
history too. Would you mind explaining to our audience what they need to know, especially as people keep joining us now for this?
Yeah.
It's an interactive program, so tell them what they need to know.
Absolutely. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be monitoring the chat here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. Tell us where you're from in the chat. We are paying attention, and I'm there to relay some information and your questions and comments back to Diana. We'll have some Q&A at the end. So one of the things that we'll do is you just have to raise your digital hand down at the bottom on the reactions toolbar in Zoom. There's a little reactions button and you can just raise your hand there and it helps us find you so we can unmute you when you can ask your questions. And one of the best ways to watch the program as well is to make sure that you have Zoom in speaker mode. So in the top right-hand corner under view, select speaker and you'll see a program there. So that way you'll see some slides and the video and the different things that are part of the program as well. So that's basically what you need to know and really enjoy the show. If you have any questions, I'm here monitoring chat and I'm here to support you.
Super. Okay. All right. So now let's get in deep with Sara and Stephen's story. Mark, would you mind putting up the first slide for us, please? Okay. Lovely music to go with it. How nice. Anyway, I contacted Sara and Stephen after I saw this article, actually, which one of you actually sent me, in a very well-known lifestyle magazine called Toronto Life, with this screaming headline, which of course you couldn't avoid. It said, "We sold our house in Fergus, Ontario," which is another small town in sort of southwest of Toronto, and bought about 11-bedroom chateau in France. So I had to find out who these people were. And let's just go to the next slide because this is what their chateau looks like. Put that up. There we go. All right. All right. So Sara and Stephen, let's bring you in. We've got a lot to unpack here, but let's start with the chateau itself. Tell us a little bit about this beautiful castle and how you found it.
Sure. So the chateau is, as you say, the Chateau de Saint-Germain-des-Prés. There is a very famous neighborhood in Paris that's named the same thing, so don't be mistaken. We are actually in the southwest of France, in more towards Bordeaux. But the chateau itself dates back to the 16th century. The tower that you see on the left-hand side there is the 16th century part, and the wall that's attached to that is still from that original part. When it was originally built, there was actually two towers. And one of the towers was burnt down in well, as all chateaus have a burn story, so does ours.
Yeah.
So one tower collapsed, but this one, the one that's still there, has survived since the 16th century. And then the rest of the house was constructed and grafted onto it in the 19th century.
Wow.
We have some sketches from mid 1800s, so we figure that's probably when it got started. And we know that there's a stone on the facade of the tower, or sorry, facade of the building on the north side that has 1900 carved into it. So that was probably the last stone that was laid. Yeah, our last area. Well, but yeah, it's an 11-bedroom house. It's got 3 floors. And all the space we could possibly need.
So 6,500 square feet and 37 acres, am I right?
37 acres, yeah.
Yes, wow.
And then we do also have a barn as well that is almost the same footprint as the chateau. It's not quite as tall. And then there is an additional cottage property that's also on the property that would make a good sort of two-bedroom size home in Ontario.
Yeah.
Which was a workhouse. There was obviously a place for washing clothes and store for food and
cidery.
A cidery, yeah. Within that building.
Wow, okay. So, we're going to get into all of that. Let me just go to the next slide, Mark, and we'll show them exactly where it is in France in case those of you, this is a very popular area now. Yeah, but it's sort of unexplored in some ways, right? So you can see that it's over there in the southwestern part of France. Let's go to the next photo too, the next slide. And we'll see here, this what I find so interesting is that you're really in a very tiny village of the same name, right? And this is really what the village looks like. It's that tiny.
It really is. Our property makes up about half the village. And when you'd asked how we found the chateau, we were pretty clear about the criteria we wanted. And I'm the sort of person who would happily be out in the middle of nowhere, but Stephen wanted to be within walking or bicycling distance of a boulangerie. And so this little town gave us all the privacy that I wanted, plus the boulangerie for Stephen. So we're still, just a hint of people around, but still lots of privacy. So it worked out really well.
Oh, that's right. So Stephen, are you in charge of going to get the croissant and baguettes in the morning?
Yeah, generally. Well, we take turns, but yeah, we've had to slow that down. For those reasons. But yes, it's nice to have that access to it. Being so close. I mean, I think we actually worked it out. It's 250 meters from here, from the back door of the chateau. So dangerous.
Let's see the next slide too, which shows you a little bit of the drawing. So you do have some of those the drawings from the original, or maybe these might be new ones. What is this drawing here that we see?
We're really lucky that France has a lot of digital archives, basically dating back to Napoleonic times. Obviously, they didn't have the digital part then, but the archives that they have digitized date back to Napoleonic times or before, because there are a lot of revolution records as well that they've started to digitize.
Right.
But this particular illustration is dated 1885.
Nice.
Close enough, yeah, give or take 20 years.
Okay,
yeah,
we're somewhere in there.
Yeah,
it's handwritten, so we're not 100% sure.
And it doesn't. The chateau, as it looks now, is different than how this looks, but it is labeled Saint-Germain-des-Prés, and we see some of the elements on here. Obviously, the tower and the west facade, but the little outbuildings in front aren't there anymore. So we kind of wonder what the story is there.
Interesting. Yeah,
we didn't have any other documents to go along with this, so it's just what's out in the Dordogne archives, and we're still sleuthing. We were able to find the cadastral map, the cadastre, which is the Napoleonic records when they went through and basically surveyed all of France and wrote everything down in very fine detail, so you can go and look up what your property looked like, basically when Napoleon's surveyors went through, which is also really cool.
So do you know how many families have been through it or lived there?
We don't. There is a crest on the tower, which is pretty cool. It's got a coat of arms on it, and we've done a little bit of analysis. We've got some hints of some family names, and we had a discussion with the Lord Lion over in Scotland, but he couldn't add anything because he's more Scottish than French. So we're still sleuthing that out, but we know of at least 4 names, but mostly in the more recent times. So the more post-revolution, post-aristocratic phase.
Fabulous. Let's go to the next slides, Mark, because Okay, so let's get into this. How did this happen? How did you leave Fergus, Ontario, where you had what, a 4-bedroom, or did you say a 2-bedroom house?
4-bedroom.
4-bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just start at the beginning. Where do you get the idea to suddenly go from that to France?
Well, I mean, you sort of brought up earlier the Escape to the Chateau series from the BBC or from Channel 4. That well, Sarah had been thinking about, well, we had been thinking about moving to Europe probably about 10 years ago, or maybe a little longer than that. I know Chateau wasn't necessarily in my head at that time, but I believe Sarah was a little different.
When I was 16, I was lucky enough that my parents took us traveling quite a bit, and we did stay in a chateau for a week. They sort of rented out a floor, gîte like. And when you're 16 and you stay in a chateau, it does plant a seed that maybe kind of grows for a few years. So when we started looking at properties in France and realizing how affordable they were, chateaus started coming into the equation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we were somewhat inspired by, as I say, the Escape to the Chateau, as far as people who were sort of making a business out of these kind of properties, and we were thinking about how we would, essentially, what would we need to do to make this happen. So, first of all, it was, do we want to move to Europe and France in particular? And then second of all, how would we make that work? And for us, Chateau was only going to work if we could make a business out of it. So that informed our criteria for looking for our place. And really it was, we got sort of put together at home during COVID times. We both worked in Toronto, but or actually it wasn't, it was we were in Southern Ontario anyway. And when we were both working from home, we turned around one day. We had been searching online quite a bit for Chateau property, and we just kind of went, what would have to be true for us to make this happen? And from there on, we started thinking more seriously about it. And then we did move over for 2 months into France, just to make sure we liked it.
We'd been to France probably a dozen times on vacation, but obviously it's much different to live in a country than to vacation there. So we needed to make sure that the actual life in France was going to be a good fit for us. So we just came over and lived as French people for a couple of months in a town not far from here, it turns out. So we looked at properties. We picked Dordogne because it was very central. That's the department that we're in, a province, I guess. It's somewhere between province and county in terms of size. And we knew we didn't want to be as far north as Brittany and Normandy because those are a little cooler, and we wanted to get away from Canadian temperatures a little bit, from the extremes.
Sure.
But we didn't know where we wanted to be in the south. So Dordogne was nice and central to go a couple of hours north or a couple of hours south, covered a lot of territory. But it turns out that it was actually the sweet spot for us, because we did look north and we did look south. And then we found the one that was, as they say, just right. So
did you look at a number that you just went, oh no, there's no way?
Yeah. I mean, we did see one in particular. So we had a very loose set of criteria when we were starting to look for the property. And then we looked at one that it took us 3 hours to get around. It was near Toulouse, and that wasn't doubling back. And at that point we went, that's too big for us. That's way beyond the project that we're looking to do. And vice versa. We then saw another property that really tugged at the heartstrings, frankly. It's a beautiful, beautiful, chateau, but it didn't have any land, and it was actually quite a bit smaller than we were expecting. So, we started to narrow down and find that sweet spot that we felt worked for us. And admittedly, when we came across this one, it was hard to hide the emotions on our face, I think.
Oh, wonderful. And was it kind of a swap? I mean, I won't ask you how much you spent unless you want to tell us, but was it basically a swap between the two houses the house you had in Fergus? Were you able to afford it?
Yeah, we don't share the actual numbers, mainly out of respect for the person who bought our property in Fergus. We do want to say we were choosing France. We weren't leaving Canada.
Yeah.
We loved Canada. We loved Fergus. It's a beautiful, awesome town, and I recommend it for anybody who's looking at it. It was just a matter that France was a better cultural choice for us. We really love history and art and the mix of the two, and just the cultural differences. Here, we're a better for us personally. So it's really nothing against Canada. And yes, we basically sold one house and bought another. It was pretty much a straight swap. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. We got dragged into Canadian politics a while ago, accidentally, and they were using us as an example of trying to say that it had something to, that our purchase had something to do with the Canadian housing crisis. And you can't compare the systems. France's housing policy is completely different than Canada's housing policy. And that's why the price differences are so much different between here and there. And that's why Chateau properties are more affordable. Also, a lot of French people don't want to take on the big old historic properties because, as most people know, they come with ongoing price.
Yeah.
You are accepting, the upkeep of this heritage property. It's not one and done. You're just a caretaker for a period. So you have to kind of accept that responsibility, and not everyone wants to take that on. And we totally understand that as well.
Was there a lot to fix up in
Yeah.
your case? Because we know the story of the Strawbridges. It was all about completely starting over in some ways. Did you have a lot to do?
No, we were really clear that we wanted a place that was structurally quite sound.
Yeah.
We were okay to do the cosmetic updates. So shout out to our volunteers who've come through, waves to Rosemary and a few other people out there.
Yeah.
Who come through and sort of helped us with some painting and wallpapering and things like that. We knew a moat was definitely not on.
No moats.
Moats
no
are
moats.
beautiful and an
Okay.
absolute maintenance nightmare. So we were
Okay.
like, thank you, no thank you. Yeah, things like that. We were pretty clear about what we wanted.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as the property goes, there is cosmetic changes but essentially the choices that were made were good for the time. It could have been far worse. I mean, the last wallpapering that we believe what happened was in the 1980s, so it could have been far worse. But the choices were well made. It's just a little tired now, so we can put our own spin on things and introduce the way that we want it to look as we're going forward. But it'll be a lifetime of projects to try and bring it to bring our influence onto it.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a video, which I've just explained to everybody. For Stephen and Sarah to actually walk through the chateau would be very complicated because of the Wi-Fi. So they very kindly put together a lovely video, which is about 8 minutes long, and they're going to just walk us through it. So I just want to give Mark enough time to set that up. Well, he does that. Is it complicated buying a heritage property in France? Is it much more complicated than just buying an apartment in Paris, for instance?
Property buying in France is more complicated than buying a property in Canada. It takes longer, typically 4 or 5 months longer. And then there's what they call classified historic properties or unclassified historic properties. Ours is unclassified. So that means that we have free reign to do whatever we want. A classified property, you have to go to a committee for changes to the property, and that might be on individual elements in the property, or it might be the entire thing. So it really depends on the property that you're buying. But the trade-off for that is that you get significant tax breaks on the changes that you make, but everything has to be done by committee. So it's really, that is a definite choice. We leaned pretty strongly towards the unclassified it wasn't a deal breaker, but we were looking for an unclassified property. We figured we'd be better fit for any changes we wanted to make this a business property, because sometimes that bureaucracy can be a help or a hindrance. And anything you've heard about French bureaucracy is understated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure. All right, so I think we have the video up here. We can set that in motion. Here's the ground.
Sure.
So you just tell us what you want to tell us about. I'll ask you.
Sure. So yeah, this is the approach across our front park up to our chateau, and you see the lovely facade there. So the door on the bottom right there is the room that we're sitting in currently, and above that, with the balcony is the room that we use most of the time. It is also a guest suite that we utilize for our retreats.
That whole park is private leading up to the chateau. You really can't have no access to that from the road or from the village. And then this is the overlook towards the viaduct. There's a Roman footbridge, which is gorgeous. That's a little more Victorian.
So this is the Great Hall. So that ceiling that you're seeing there is about 24 foot high. And leads to the mezzanine. It's one of the features that you don't see very often in the French chateau that we absolutely adored. And then you're walking into the salon side of the chateau. So this is the Grand Salon. We have lots of interesting plans for this room. At the moment, you saw the pool table and the seating area, but we're looking at making that a lot more formal in the future.
Everything leads off the great room. So you've got the salons, and then this is the doorway into the tower. So this is the 16th century tower, and it is full of a stone spiral staircase that goes all the way to the top, 58 steps for those who care about that sort of thing. There is a little room at the very top of the tower that needs to be refreshed. This is the great room set up for dining. In our last retreat, we moved the dining room out, and this is the dining room as it normally is. So we like to do fancy suppers for our guests, and I love setting a really grand table, and I'm learning about flower. Many things I'm learning as a chatelaine is, flower arranging. I've always had a love for a fancy table, so I always enjoy polishing the silver and ironing the tablecloths and napkins. I know that sounds weird, but
I am very much enjoying letting her do that.
I can see all the furnishings. Did you had to buy everything, or was some of it come with the chateau?
So the table that you're looking at there, we did buy that off the previous owner simply because it came with 14 chairs and it was perfectly sized for the room. But most of the furnishings we did have to purchase for it.
This is one room we've completely refreshed ourselves. So it was very aging sort of purple. And we've redone this with a partnership with Little Green Wallpaper, and we really love how this came out. So this is our breakfast room between the dining room and the kitchen, which we are walking into now. The kitchen we've done almost nothing with, so you're seeing it pretty much as it has been for the last probably 100 years. Having the yellow all out, I call it my big lemon of a kitchen. It's like walking into a lemon because it's a yellow floor to ceiling, including the ceiling. So it's really delightful. Fortunately, Stephen spends more time in there than I do. So yeah.
And then the big staircase.
Yeah.
This was one feature I wanted, was a big grand staircase, because I do sew and I wanted to be able to swoop down in my gowns. So then you can see the mezzanine, and all the bedrooms come off this mezzanine, and the mezzanine obviously overlooks the great room. There's two types of chateau. You can have this, well, no, there's lots of kinds of chateau. This chateau is all in a square, and a lot of chateau are enfilade, which means room to room to room, and they're all linked together. So now we're touring into the bedrooms.
Yeah, so this is the room that we're calling du terrasse, because it does have two terraces. There's quite a large one through the doors you see there. It does have like a couple of our rooms, we have wash facilities, but not a toilet, which we're hoping to fix in the future. But this also has a Juliet balcony, and you can, as you look out there, you can see the village, and our boulangerie is one of those little roofs just down there, so it's nice and close.
We make the joke you can call your order down. Yeah.
Cool.
The ceilings are all, what do we say?
14 foot?
12 foot, I think. 12 foot high?
I think
something like 12, 14 foot anyway, on both the first floor and the second floor. So, we got lots and lots of space to play with.
And this is the terrace off that room overlooking our park that goes all the way up to the tree line at the top there. The road across the way is ours, but the cemetery obviously not. Makes for good quiet neighbors. This is our cute little petite chambre room, which we've had a lot of fun redoing. I've gotten into redoing furniture, so I redid the bed in this one. And I had a friend who was really kind and gave us 10 meters of Versailles toile de Juillet for the fabric fans out there. We did the curtains there. Like I said, I sew, so I've redone most of the curtains. The stuff when we walked in was 50 years old and dissolving. So all of the curtains I've resewn myself.
So this room is the one that I mentioned, the one that we utilize most of the time. Does have a Juliet balcony off the front of it, looking over the park. And again, this one has a wash facility, but not a toilet to it.
Yeah, it has ensuite shower, but not ensuite toilet. But no more than 2 bedrooms have to share facilities. It's nicely split up. As Chateau go, we actually have a lot of bathroom facilities. Normally, we know someone who has a 17-bedroom chateau, and when they moved in, there were 2 bathrooms, one on the main floor and one on the top floor, and that was it.
Yeah.
This is Chambre La Tour, because it's next to La Tour, the tower.
Where did you get all this furniture? It's just gorgeous.
This one actually came from a friend of ours who, well, they're actually on the Escape to the Chateau DIY program.
Yeah, Stephanie Jarvis, if anyone knows that name.
So she had this furniture in her chateau and decided they couldn't use it anymore, so we purchased it off her.
The
It
chairs,
works perfectly.
the chairs were a beautiful gift from friends. That other armoire, the brown one in there, was purchased from a lady in the village who was downsizing.
And this one, I mean, this is our largest suite. So this is the Balsam Suite, named after Lake Balsam in Ontario,
Yeah.
as a
Okay.
nod to
Up
our
in the
roots.
Kawartha Lakes area where
Yeah.
my family is.
But it's a beautiful, nice big space, and that has a full bath.
Where is your bedroom?
That's the one with the triple aspect with the green and gold
Oh, good.
curtains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're up onto the third floor, which
Or do
the
you give
attic
me that?
space. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still see there's still lots of height in this floor, which is great. And this is really our sort of expansion opportunities. So there's a lot to be done still with this this floor, but there's a lot of room. I mean, it's the same footprint as the main floor is. So right now you're in the cinema, what was actually a cinema back. We're not quite sure when, but there is a booth for a projector and a screen, and that's where we sleep when there are retreats on. So as I say, we utilize one room, but we use that one.
Just so you know, everything's not glamorous. Yes, we have storage spaces where we just cram everything in. Yes, that happens.
I'm glad you're showing us that. It makes me feel better.
Yeah. So the two bedrooms that are up here as well that you're seeing. So there's this one, and there was a yellow one earlier. We reserve those for what we call staff, which includes us. We are actually staff when the chateau is in operation.
Yeah.
So the chefs or the retreat runners or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can see there the field beyond there is part of our property. Quite a lot of the woods around us is all part of the property.
And we made a point of wanting to share this with the town because the chateau had actually been fairly disconnected from the town from the previous owners, and we really wanted to make it part of the town again. So now they can have the town fete, and they can have the Fête de Saint-Jean, Fête de Saint-Germain on our property, and because it is right in the center, right? So when it wasn't a part, it was really a detriment to the town, and we're really excited to bring the town back into the chateau.
And they're excited to have it too, which is great.
Yeah, that was one of my questions actually, how the town was either supporting you or felt about what you were doing. That's brilliant to do that. Somebody has a question for you though, that how is it heated? Michael has a question.
That's a clever person who's been looking at chateau.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah. And they also wanted to know about, just before you do that, drilled well for water and septic system. Wanted to know all of that.
Oh, so 5 years ago, we did get on the mains. Just before we bought the property, they basically redid the infrastructure in the town and connected us to the mains, which is huge. So that was a really big win because that is really rare for chateau.
And our water is crystal clear. Like
so good.
we had a kettle that we had when we moved in, and it never had to be descaled, and it looked as new 2 years into it.
So good.
Yeah. So we're very, very excited about that. Heating on the other hand, yeah.
The heating is as much of a nightmare as you'd expect. So we have 2 furnaces, and one is an oil-based and one is wood-based. So basically burning it like it's almost like it's a poêle, anyone? Wood stove? Wood stove. There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
So we can switch between the two, but there's basically not great options for heating, and there's no such thing as double glazing. And we've got the big floor in the great room is terrazzo, so it's marble, so it's stone, which is great in the summer because it's basically air conditioning because it's just a big heat sink. And it's also a big heat sink in the winter. Yes, it is.
Okay.
So we operate on the heat the person, not the chateau principle in the winter season. But fortunately, the temperatures here are just not as extreme. It's very rare that we get
another thing, right? It is
0.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, it just kind of hits like around 10 degrees most of the winter, and so it's a lot easier to just manage the heat that way.
Sure. And the fireplaces, how many fireplaces did you say you have?
So we have 13 in total, 11 of which work, but we only really utilize 1 or 2. Essentially because the chimneys are so tall that putting an open fire, like the one behind us here, we tried it one day, and to get the draw up, it takes so much air, and basically all the heat just goes straight up the chimney. Right. So we do have a couple of wood burners that we use, one in the kitchen and one in the great room. And that will eventually be, we'll probably add a few more of those as we go forward with the chateau so that we can utilize the wood. Because as you can imagine, with 37 acres of land, mostly wooded, we have lots and lots of wood. So,
and we always make the joke, but not a joke, that the first rule, well, really the only rule of Chateau is don't burn down the chateau, because they've all had fire.
Yeah.
So we want to be really careful about having fires in the open fireplaces, because it's really difficult to properly maintain chimneys that are 40 feet tall.
yeah.
So yeah.
I'm going to go to the next slide, because we're going to talk about the business side of things, which is what you had in mind when you started this. But I'm curious to see how this evolved, because it's I've talked to lots of people who do kind of different retreats in France, but I think this is the most creative group of workshops I've ever seen. So let's just tell us a little bit about what you had in mind for this and why.
We love the idea of bespoke pairings of chateau experiences and creativity. That's really what we want to kind of curate here. We want people to be able to come and experience chateau life without it being all, and I
museum, I think.
Yeah, we don't want it to be a museum. We don't want it to be stuffy. We don't want, we want to use the good china and not have anybody worry about damaging it, right? Like, it's just come, have a good time, live the good life as if you're Chatelains, and don't worry about it, right? And then layer the creativity on top of being in an inspirational space like this.
Well, let's have a look at the next slide too. We'll see some of the retreats, and you can just pick three. But we're
like for both of us, Sarah and I both have a lot of passions. Both of us, we will absolutely confess to being geeks.
Absolutely.
On all sorts of different things. I mean, I'm a painter myself. Sarah's a sewist. Sarah's into historical costuming. I'm also a graphic designer. We've got all these different passions and loves. And one of the things that we really enjoy is when people who have a singular passion or geeky passion and get together and be geeky together. That's what we love. We love bringing those people together and just having a good time.
With food and wine and everything too, right though?
That's exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the Games and Gourmet is for people who are enjoying Olympic football and also French food. We're in the Périgord, which is a very famous gastronomic region in France. You get a lot of really famous products that basically get shipped up to Paris to all the Michelin-starred restaurants, but they all come from here. So the gastronomy is really famous here, and we're just perfectly situated between Bordeaux and Lyon, which is where the quarters and semis are happening for the football. So we can have football geeks and food geeks like kind of coming together and just being unapologetically foodie and football geeky for an entire weekend, which is going to be amazing.
Fabulous. Okay.
And then we've got retreats that help you explore your creativity. So one of our partners, Elske de Groot from Luxica Studios, has been an amazing partner in getting us started. And she will help you find your creativity. So you come here, you live the chateau life, you eat great French food, and you just try new things. She's got a great program where you can turn, anyone can take a photo with their phone these days, but how do you turn that into absolutely gorgeous wall art that you'd be proud to hang on your wall, or, can turn into a skill that's actually sellable if that's your thing, if that's something you want to explore. We've got the Storytellers Weekend up there. So if you just want a B&B weekend at a chateau, but with a bit of a twist, because we've got a professional storyteller coming. So she'll tell stories, one of which she's going to make up for the chateau. And also we'll talk to you about storytelling. So if that's a skill you think would be helpful for your professional career, for, if you're an Instagram content creator, any sort of content creator, really, like, learning to tell a story is such a useful skill, no matter what stage of your career or life you're at.
It really is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And did you come up with these ideas, or do people actually also reach out? Because we have a question to that effect saying, can a group reach out to you and say, are we a good fit for your chateau?
It's a bit of both. Elske was our friend when we lived in Fergus, and she's been an amazing collaborator as we get the business up and running. So we've talking about finding your people and finding your safe space. She's been such an amazing partner for helping us to develop this. So that's been great. And then as we get the word out, we get people inquiring, going, can we use you as a venue? And we're like, yes. And we're engaged hosts, which is different than just hiring a hotel or hiring a B&B or something like that. Like, we really want to curate that experience for you and really make it extra special. So it's really a mix. People have reached out to us and we've reached out to people. The Games and Gourmet is happening with our chefs who are also running the other retreats with us. So the chefs will be present at Elska's retreat for the creativity and the turning your photography into gorgeous wall art. They'll be there for that, but we're also running Games and Gourmet with them directly.
Yeah, I think, you know, as we started, you know, showcasing the type of retreats that we wanted to do, now we're starting to get more people inquiring and reaching out to us. We have had in the last, you know, 6 months, people who've gone, hey, I've got this idea, I've got that idea.
Yeah.
You know, we're now talking about musicians, we're talking about writers, we're talking, you know, we have silversmiths, we got all these different disciplines.
Also, I want to shout out to Diane, who's been also an amazing partner for us. So this is someone I worked with once upon a time in my career, and she's exploring art and creativity after she retired from corporate life, and she's come to us with, I love this instructor, and I would love to do this experience with this instructor at your chateau. So she's been just amazing in terms of like feedback and helping us develop our sales and marketing and things like that. So thanks to Diane as well.
Yeah.
Super.
Diane Dowsett Artistry, tag that.
Yeah.
I think we have a few.
But I mean, that's the thing is we're not trying to limit ourselves too much. We have certainly put out what it is that we want to do, but as we say, geeky passions. I mean, yoga retreats or you know, gourmet weekends, as Sarah said. If somebody just wants to come and shop in antique markets, or you know, go to food markets, or see historical things. All those kinds of things, we're kind of open to exploring them. Our eventual plan is to have a calendar of events throughout the year that will hopefully repeat with, and then add, you know, a couple here or there, or swap in a few throughout the year. But things that are consistent that we can then offer, you know, a year-long calendar, or at least sort of our period between sort of April to November kind of time frame. Yeah, before it gets too cold in the chateau.
I was going to say when you don't need the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, unless somebody wants to do survival.
Yeah, let's look at some of the other pictures we got. So you've got some lovely pictures of, you know, artist retreats, things like this. There's another artist. I think we actually have an artist. Is Joanna Spinks online? Is she, Mark? Have a look and see if she's there. Because I think she is going to be giving something to your in 2025. I don't know if she's online.
Yeah, we're just teasing that right now.
She's here. She's here.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Hi, Joanna.
There she is. Yeah. So what will you be doing, Joanna, in that retreat? Oh, we can't hear you.
Here, one moment.
You might, yeah. But we've muted you, so. Can she speak now?
I think so.
Go ahead, Joanna.
No. Hang on.
No. Well, until Johanna gets her stuff sorted, I'll fill in what we're planning there. So, not yet, Johanna. No.
Yeah. These things happen.
Johanna's a really talented, focuses on portraiture. She's a really talented artist across a lot of venues, but that's one that we're working on with her. She's also bringing an extra element where we're adding gilding and a couple of other techniques that I wasn't even familiar with. But if you want to add a bit of bling to your artistry, she's going to be showing you 3 techniques for how to do that as part of her instruction. And then, well, of course, we add in extra layers with the food, and we're going to do a couple of excursions that show the gilding as it was done in previous times. So that's something that we offer as venue hosts, as we help curate these experiences. Did we get you, Johanna?
Yes, we can hear you.
No.
Yes.
You're good now.
Well, Joanna, how did you actually figure this out to get together with Stephen and Sarah?
Well, I did you can't hear me though, right?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can, great. So hi, everybody. Hi.
And
Steve,
where are you, by the way?
This has been great. Hi, Dan. So yes, I did a retreat at a chateau last September at a different chateau, and I'm really interested in that world, old things, pretty things. So I had heard about Manor and Maker through that experience, actually, and one of the people who was attending my retreat was going straight to Manor and Maker. So that was the original connection. And so then, you know, I approached Sarah and Stephen, and we started talking about how we would do it, because, you know, one doesn't want to repeat. So yeah, and I'm very interested in gilding in my own work, Renaissance techniques, along with, you know, the usual things that makes artwork better: color, value, tone. So really, our retreat will be elevating your artwork, shaking it up, and you know, and also just enjoying a beautiful chateau, great hosts, and lovely food and wine. You know, that's important to me, that it's the whole experience.
The whole
It's
experience.
just
Yeah.
a painting workshop.
And when is that? And where are you located right now?
I'm in Los Angeles. Yes.
So when will it be, that retreat?
July 5th through 11th, Sarah. Have I got that right?
This year
Yes.
or next year?
Next year.
Next year.
2020.
Okay. So lots of time to plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll have to sign up to our newsletter to get, because we're just teasing it right now. We haven't officially launched that. So when you sign up to our newsletter, you'll get first chance to book that.
Good. And we'll have all that information for everybody at
Yeah.
the end too. I think she
Here's
wants
our
to
little
add one more.
teaser
Oh yes,
postcard.
beautiful. So the postcard's already done. Put it a little bit over in front of
There
you.
we go.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Excited.
Well, we'll let you go. Thank you, Joanna, for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thanks for letting me join in.
All right. So we're going to move to the next one. The next slide. I just want to know about this one. The Manor and Maker retreat. What is this? It looks amazing. Do I get to dress up like that if I go?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
So this is
Okay.
our main character retreat. So this is really focused on people who are content creators online. So this is a longer story. I won't go into the whole thing, but we were lucky enough to get introduced to Rebecca, who is a clothes horse online. And she has about 2 million followers on TikTok and about 800,000 on Instagram. And she and Sasha Alsberg, who is a best-selling author and also content creator, are coming together to host a retreat to help people elevate their content game. So we're saying it's, you know, a chance to romanticize your content, to get together with other content creators and collaborate, work with professional photographers, including Stephen and Rebecca's partner, Thomas. And this came about because we invited them last year to just come and hang out and do their thing. And so that's where these pictures came from. And the lady doing an excellent job of being Marie Antoinette is actually wearing a costume that I made for myself and then I quickly adapted for her. That's Sarah Stratford Hall, and she's an actor. And so she had a fun day lolling about, and the top left corner where she was being Marie Antoinette and everyone else just like had enough of Marie Antoinette. Oh my God, that was such a fun moment. I can't even tell you. And then there ensued like a beating of Marie Antoinette with baguettes. And then there was a sword, there was a wand fight. There was a wand fight.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It was so good. It was so much fun.
Oh, it sounds
It was just playtime, but it was playtime with the purpose of creating really interesting content.
Really?
I mean,
Again, it was
I
that
took 1,700 photographs that weekend just in 2 days. So, you know, it was amazing.
and they were so into it because again, it's that feeling of getting together with the people who love to do what you love to do. And they just sort of, that collaboration, that geekiness, that being with your tribe, being with your people was just amazing. So they're hosting that this year. And there's still, I think, 2 spots available for that retreat if you want to hurry and sign up. So that's at the end of August. And that's going to be an amazing experience as well. And again, our chefs are coming. So we've got the chefs that were trained at Le Cordon Bleu, and we've got 2 of those, and they're going to be making food from the Périgord. Oh, they do so good. And then we're going to go out, we're going to tour some chateau and take some more photos in gorgeous places. Yeah.
I mean, what I was just going to mention, you know, Joanna was talking about. Johanna, my apologies, was talking about her Renaissance style. The advantage of being in the area that we're in is, you know, there's a Renaissance chateau that's half an hour from here, something like that, that has, you know, artwork and furniture from that time period. So to be able to not only be, you know, work with Johanna and create this stuff and talk about it, we can actually go and see it as well. And that's one of the reasons we absolutely love the area that we're in, and why you know, what we're trying to do is curate those experiences so that not only do you get to just, you know, have fun creating the artwork or whatever it is that you're creating, but go and actually experience some of the stuff that we're talking about as well.
Yeah. As you say, it's a whole experience that you're creating. This is amazing. We have a couple more, I think, or another shot here, some other ones. I mean, things that I would never have thought of. It's crazy. Silk and Gourmet and You, and Wood Fire Kiln Workshop. Okay. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So
that's a friend of ours, Claude Osage. He's local to the area. Lovely
that's good.
French
Yeah.
and he's a ceramicist, And but beyond being just a tremendous artist, he also builds kilns. So the idea of this is that they take stone, they build a kiln, they fire the ceramics that they're doing, and then they dismantle the kiln to get to the pieces that are fired. So it's instead of having, you know, sort of a mechanical kiln that you can just sort of open the lid, take stuff out and put, you know, put back in, this is much more the traditional technique. And so this is something that he's done all over the world. He's worked with Oxford University in the UK, who have a program doing these kilns.
He's done it in Russia and Brazil and
Portugal.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's in Georgia recently.
Yeah.
So he's done a ton of this. And so he would like to do it here because, as I said, we've got lots of land. So yeah, he's going to come here and we are going to build a kiln. But it's also the whole, you know, it's creating the ceramics that will go into it. It's building this kiln. It's spending the entire night keeping the wood fire burning. You know, there's a whole
experience
doing it. I'm really looking forward to it myself. It's going to be really unique.
And then the Silken Gourmet is again our Le Cordon Bleu chefs coming with a silk painting and dyeing artist. So if you want to make wearable art, if you want to make texture art, I mean, I love silk. I mean, obviously I'm a sewer, right? So it's just that feeling, that kind of, it's almost alchemy, the way the dyes blend with the silk. And I'm so looking forward to this one. But you can, as I say, you can make it wearable, or you can, you know, they make beautiful pieces to hang on a wall, and the way they move and the way they flow, or you can frame them. You know, you've all seen sort of gorgeous Hermes silks and scarves and things like that. So she's going to be sharing those techniques. And again, it's going to be that whole experience of the food and going out and seeing, you know, silk in the markets and finding out what we can find there. And like, it's going to be amazing.
We'll keep moving on because there's so much to talk about here.
Sorry.
So you have I could listen to you all day, but there is a lot of you have guest lectures and stuff too, right? Related to these topics or unrelated or separate?
Yeah, so and some of this is much more local geared as well. So the retreat that you're seeing in the photos there, we just brought in some writers and just had a very quick workshop on talking about and then there was we had I think 3 or 4 writers that read from their
it was memoir. It was specifically around memoir.
That's right.
Which was really interesting. And then they ran a short workshop for people to get started on their memoir and share ideas about memoir writing, because that's a very specific skill within writing.
Indeed.
And to the next slide, I just put up to show like some of these groups. So the important thing, because the 11 bedrooms, you have small intimate groups, right?
Yeah, so we have 11 bedrooms, but you know, as you saw, a couple of them are used for storage. And under the current hospitality laws in France that we operate under, we actually only have 5 guest rooms. So really it's a maximum of 10 people. So you really get this nice intimate experience. You're not trying to fight for instructor time. You know, it's not giant buffets. It's really sort of curated meals. And you really have a chance to sit and connect with your fellow artists.
Wow. Okay. So, and then, all right. So let's just come back to the 2 of you, because I know you actually have, I'm even surprised you were able to do this interview with us today, because you have big news to report next week. What's happening next week?
Well, we've been together 20 years, but okay, so the first question, the question that Steve popped about 4 years ago was the one I really wanted to hear, which was what would have to be true for us to buy a chateau in France? I mean, that's the question every girl really wants.
Okay.
But due to some French bureaucracy, he also...
Well, our accountant, I did ask Sarah to marry me.
Yes.
So it is absolutely a relationship of love.
Yes.
However, our accountant did do most of the proposing.
In Canada, there exist the common law laws, and we were happy with that as a level of our commitment. We felt there's other ways to express your commitment to each other. But common law doesn't exist in France. So if we want to sort of protect our property and protect our investment, then it's really better to perform the act of marriage, or a pax, as they call it, one or the other. So we're going to pop down to the mairie in about a week, about 50 meters from here, and go sign some paper, and then some friends and family are going to join us, and we're going to have a nice little celebration.
First of all, though, you know, Stephen, how did you propose, and what room did you propose in?
Well, I did. It was this room I think I actually proposed in the dining room.
Dining
Yeah.
room's always the best.
Um,
Yeah. Over a meal or something, right?
Yeah,
Party?
I will admit it wasn't the big, I didn't ride up on a horse in,
Yeah.
shining armor.
Which he also knows is not something I would want.
No, exactly.
I have complicated
20,
feelings about marriage.
20 years. We know each other
Yeah.
relatively well.
Well, that's very exciting.
That's great.
Congratulations to both
Yeah.
of you. That's wonderful. All right, so let's go because we're going to do a giveaway. I think we have a slide for that, and you're going to need to explain this. So I am
Okay.
going to, for one person that in our audience today, hopefully they're here, we're going to do a giveaway draw for a membership. And tell us, I'm going to buy the Troubadour one. There are 3 choices, but this is the one which will be for a year. I will buy this for somebody. So tell me what the Troubadour membership is what's involved in it.
So we're pretty active on social media, and I also run the newsletter side of things. So we have Manor and Maker is our YouTube channel, but of course we put we have sponsorships and we are commercial driven on there, so we get the ad revenue. So as a Troubadour member, you can watch our videos ad free. So I post those along with when I post them on YouTube. So you can just pop over to your membership and watch those without the ads, which is great. And you also get access to the backlog of all of our newsletters. So I like to write articles on creativity to try to inspire people and think about creativity differently and give them a little bit of extra motivation to connect to their creativity, because we think that's just really important.
Yeah.
And then we also send you a nice little welcome letter, and we're constantly evolving our membership. It's a relatively new thing. We only launched it in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So we're always open to feedback about what people want from their membership.
Right.
And we're talking about doing a giveaway with something we received as one of our sponsorships. So maybe we'll give that away to one of our members. But for now, it's just the ad-free videos, and you get access to our backlog of newsletters and the welcome letter. So,
But the membership program does support our efforts in maintaining the chateau and
absolutely
evolving the chateau.
Yeah.
Completely understand it. And while so I've got my Paris box, which I have to keep figuring out where this is. Okay. Where do we put? There we go. It's that way.
Where
Yes.
did that camera go?
There. I use this. I put everybody's name in here. There's quite a few pieces of paper, and I'm just going to pick a name, and hopefully if somebody's not, you have to be here to get it though. So let me just see here. I've got one. A nice skinny one. All right. Kathy Stearns Brown. Is she on line? Kathy Stearns.
I don't see her. Is that with a K?
With a K, yeah.
She is not present.
Oh, too bad. All right, let me do it again.
Oh, sorry, Kathy.
Sorry, Kathy, you're out of luck. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see now. Why don't we put, Mark, why don't we put up the slide with all the information for people to get in touch with, how to connect with them, and that way, if it takes me a while here. I think this person is online. Shirley White?
Shirley is online. Yes, she's here.
All right, Shirley.
Yay.
Cameras
Welcome to the club,
Congratulations.
Shirley.
Yay, Shirley. Shirley, I know Shirley. She's gonna love it. She'll love it. Anyway, congratulations,
Awesome.
Shirley. I'll get in touch with you and I'll arrange with Sara and Stephen how to do this for you. Okay, so thank you everybody for that. All right, so let's have a look. It's pretty easy to find these two. Manor and Maker is the name of their business. I probably didn't make that completely clear. So honestly, if you just go Manor and Maker into Google, you're going to come up with all sorts of wonderful things, including YouTube.
Manorandmaker.com, you can find everything through there. We connect everything through the website.
Their website is phenomenal. It's interesting. It's fun. I'm sure, so just write all that down while I'm talking here. So, all right. So let me wrap this up. I could be talking to you all day and I can't wait to go and see your chateau, but thank you both so much for sharing your story and your chateau with us. I get all dreamy eyed when I think about waking up in your chateau with my cup of coffee and looking over the beautiful countryside. My best friend is online, I think, and I know she and I would love to do that together.
No need to dream. Come on over.
Yeah, we're ready.
We got to pick our retreat though. That'll be the fun part. More than just me in the audience today would also like to see the real thing. So have a look at the website and have some fun with that. And so you can find more about it on their website. Go to Instagram too. Instagram, they have a wonderful site, and their Facebook site. Okay, so if there's any questions too about upcoming retreats, we can take them now. But in the meantime, let's just say, Mark, are there any questions that we haven't got to here?
Well, the biggest
And
question people wanted to know is how much did that chateau cost?
I
That
know,
would come up, and then
you
it was the
don't wanna tell
realtor
us.
question.
Yeah, sorry, we're not sharing the
Oh.
specific numbers.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. But look, keep in mind, they had a house in Fergus and they were somehow able to do it. So that give you a bit of a, go up and look
Yeah.
up,
Gives you a bit of an idea.
go look up real estate. in
You can go to
Fergus
the
and
site seloger.com, seloger.com, and that's a
Okay.
great way to shop for Chateau.
Okay, good. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you, Mark and the team in Vancouver. And thanks to all of you for joining us, especially the new people that joined us today. And I hope you'll continue to follow me personally too on my website and blog, which is womanofacertainageinparis.com. Okay. So until the next time, everybody, à la prochaine, mes amis. Bye for now. And let's run the credits. Thank you, guys.
Merci beaucoup, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
We'll see ya.